Oh. Do you hear me now? Okay. So, somebody was asking, he didn't see me. Of course, at that moment, the light is not clear, but I was on the road. I was on the road myself. I actually do 1 hour of some jogging around. So, which gives me like 6 to 7 kilometers of performance. Now, that aside, I said that is very nice. So we wish that you continue up to the end. And when you leave here, don't just share it. Continue with your life. Secondly, I want to comment on the issue of time management. You know, I saw many people coming in here very late, and some of you could have missed what the Lieutenant Colonel here was putting up. Of the Uganda AIDS Commission. However, today we are privileged to have a team from the Uganda AIDS Commission, which should be updating us on this status across the country. So I will invite Dr. Shaban Mugerwa, Principal Medical Officer at the Commission, to take your seat. And then you want to sit there. First sit there, then when I call you, you will decide how to manage yourself. Please allow me and join me to welcome Dr. Shaban Mugerwa, who is a Principal Medical Officer at the Uganda AIDS Commission, who will be taking us through this next subject. Karibu sana. Are you used to this, doctor? Yeah, okay. Kare, doctor, you don't have a lot of time because you see you missed your slot yesterday, but allow me to invite you so that you kick off your communication. And then, hey, do you have something? Excuse me? You fix. Okay. In the meantime, as the doctor handles the technology, you could be sharing a few things. I would like to hear from you if there are any housekeeping issues that probably you want to share with us. I've already shared. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think they will be taken care of. I wanted us to, I don't know whether yesterday, some communication was made on the appointment of what would be like whips here. Yeah? For the deputy RDCs. So who are these who were appointed? Huh? There was nothing like that. So the dean, you need, can't we get him assistant? Can't we get him an assistant? No. Let's proceed slowly. The reason I'm doing this is that sometimes some people are this side, others are this side. The man cannot manage running alone. At least he needs an assistant so that when he's trying to...
It was Francis.
Where didn't you announce? Where? Where are they? Let's leave. Francis who? Francis who? Who is the deputy RDC Ginger? Stand up. Is he acceptable? Here we have a way how we answer. A question which is a yes or no answer must be, it's either no sir or yes what? Yes. So this is the deputy RDC Ginger. Can he act as a deputy? For now, I'm not acting him as a deputy dean. Yes, for now. Yes, is he acceptable? Yes, we are a democracy. Yes, go ahead. I didn't want to cause elections here. We are moving next. We are moving next. You see, we are moving next. If that one is acceptable, the RDCs now are taken care of. Course? Course? So is the deputy RDC, you will be assisting the dean in mobilizing and whipping your members, how not to be delayed in the dining, how not to idle around. Is that okay? Yes, sir.
District chairperson.
We want to get moving to serious business. Are we together? Yes, sir. Now we are moving to the chairpersons. You know, you want to solve some of these issues. Where is the chairperson of Baruma City?
Use the mic. Yes? This one for the camera. They said I should use the other one. It is only one. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay. I have told you how you are with you. So the whip will work with the other elements. The next one, you are very, very well mobilized. That's okay? So, for purposes of coordination and easy reading, so sometimes I see people standing there on phones, others there, laying in the place, you know. So I need some people very fast, and this must be part of you. So we are grateful who are the two leaders of the ARDC. Please stand up and the team. Where is the team? The team is not yet here. So now you will be suffering around. So please receive your new whip for him. His responsibility start and stop here. You are already a monitor as far as this course is concerned. Just one week. On Friday evening, you are having over and when you pass at So for the chairperson, where are you? Yes, the team will win and the other lady from Baru. So these are your leaders. So let's see how we get coordinated. And I wanted, why I brought this was the issue of how we manage time management. So make sure that we, all the time you are checking these people are getting around. And I will also manage this to those who are getting around for further management. So with those few remarks, thank you so much. Let us listen to the session.
We have not taken care of the medical. People need to find out what.
Oh, I thought Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Diabaka told you that we have a medical person here. Yeah, you see? So let's wait for the doctor to come here.
Are you going to beg him for that gadget? The gadget from him, so that I use it.
And you explain better in case your issues are beyond the first aid facility. How does he manage the referrals? How do you refer and where are you referred to? And then how are you supposed to be moving up to that question? Thank you so much. But I thought those are the housekeeping issues which you should have shared. So let's give it, let's look at this patient. We have the doctor there. Go where? So your whole patient is there.
Hello. Good morning.
Okay.
How are
Let me
you?
invite the doctor to start, then let me present that. We will see how
Yes,
to come
please.
back to you, and then you continue. You want to use this? Or
Yes, please. Yes, that's my request. Yes. So I want to recognize all of you and say I have very little time, but I bring you greetings. Next slide. Next slide, sir. IT. Next slide. So I bring you greetings from the Uganda AIDS Commission, particularly the leadership of the commission, my Director General. I think technology is letting us down. We are going to move pretty fast. Can I flip from this way? Oh, great, that's good. Technology has simplified life. Let me hope I know the button that will be flipping. Great. So I bring you greetings from my Director General, who could not be with us this morning. Yesterday, first of all, apologies from us as an institution. we received the communication a little late, and I was delegated yesterday. So I had to start on the journey yesterday, gently to make sure that we do account as required. So this is going to be the outline of our presentation. We want to share with you, mainly we are here to account to the whole country with regard to the presidential directives. And we want to update you as our leaders. Uganda, I'm told, is fully represented. The whole country is here. We want to update you on the progress of implementation of the presidential directives in the area of HIV and AIDS. You are pretty aware. We have spoken to most of you. We've been moving around the country with our mama, our honorable minister in charge of the presidency, Mile Babalanda, and my face may not be new to most of you. So we've been moving around accounting to the people, the wider leaderships of the districts and regions. But for you specifically, we'll be sharing just a summary of what we've been doing as a commission. So you remember very well that our prevalence in the early 90s was as high as 18%. Out of every 100 Ugandans, presumably almost 20%, I mean 20 of them had HIV. But with the leadership of His Excellency the President, we managed to bring it down to where we are today. And suffice it to know that in the year 2017, His Excellency launched a roadmap we call the Presidential Fast Track Initiative on ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. What do we mean by ending AIDS as a public health threat? We say we don't want anyone to die of an AIDS-related illness come 2030. We don't want, even as we talk today, if you have anyone in your district that is presumably known to be living with HIV and AIDS, and they are going downhill, then you let us know. It means the health system is letting us down in that district. As we talk today, we don't expect anyone to die of an AIDS-related illness because technology and science has done it for us. We have antiviral drugs, and we have a lot of sensitization we've done in terms of nutrition and care. So it should be a thing of the past come 2030. But we also want there to be no new infections. The challenge we have as a country that is driving the epidemic is we are getting a lot of new infections on a daily basis. So the Presidential Fast Track Initiative, as you are pretty aware, had 5 pillars. We felt we needed to engage men. The men amongst us, we are the most difficult when it comes to healthcare seeking. Our healthcare seeking behavior is the poorest. Our counterparts, the ladies, when they get an illness episode, they run very fast and seek for medical care. But also we claim we are the bread earners, we are too busy, we are busy in our offices, others are riding borders throughout the night. That's when it's even more lucrative. Somebody pays you a little more than they would have paid you during the day. So you don't have time to go and test for HIV and know your status. So we want to accelerate our test and treat. That's what we envisage to do, and we have done it already. As I'm going to account to you, we wanted to consolidate the achievements made under elimination of mother. We've been advised not to use mother-to-child transmission anymore, but we call them vertical transmissions because it stigmatizes our mothers who give birth to us as if they are the ones solely responsible for transmitting HIV to the unborn babies. Yet most of the time, we the men go and look for HIV and then bring it at home. And then they end up doing what? So we are changing the nomenclature to vertical transmission. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move a little fast with the assumption that you know what Uganda's commission is. We exist by an act of parliament. You know the way we work with everybody in the country through a partnership mechanism. We engage the whole government, right from civil society, academia, the private sector, all MDAs, we work with them. For example, when Works wants to do a road from the trading center where you turn off to come here, that contract will not be approved unless there is evidence that there is money earmarked to sensitize the population along the transport corridor of that road up to here, our National Leadership Institute. So every road that is, every infrastructure that is undertaken by means of works and transport must embed that component there. So where are we? Now we start the accountability. Very briefly and quickly, our prevalence from the 18% I showed you as we talk today, according to our estimates, out of every 100 Ugandans, about 5 are living with HIV and AIDS. This is not a reason to smile, because that's a high burden. Take a country like India, which has the largest population on planet Earth. It surpassed China. Their prevalence is less than 2%. And it really surprises you. We are only about 46 or 45 million thereabout, according to UBOS. Why should we have a prevalence that high? And what have other countries done? What has India done that we can't do as Uganda? And yet Uganda, we have been the pioneers and vanguards. His Excellency the President has been lauded globally on the planet Earth as being the #1 champion in the fight against HIV and AIDS. So this figure is high, is totally unacceptable, and we are working towards ensuring that we bring it down. So the distribution of the prevalence among women and men, you can see that HIV disproportionately affects our mothers, our sisters, more than us, the men. Of course, the total, everyone knows it. The most disturbing information is this one, that every year, we get a whooping 38,000 new infections, people who were previously HIV negative. Can you imagine? If you divided this one by 365 days, you are going to get a very disturbing figure that of the number of people that get infected every day. And as I talk now, there are people in places of leisure that are struggling to make sure that they contribute to this number here. Because usually HIV transmission, we know the common root of HIV, what? Transmission is through heterosexual. And that is what we must work together to fight as a nation and as leaders. So there is a target that was set globally, and Uganda ratified this. His Excellency accepted that we must follow that. That's the 95, 95, 95. You've heard about that talk of 95, 95, 95? I'm sure some have, others haven't. I'm sure, I'm glad my boss is here, my employer. We've tried to move around the country, but some of our comrades here just recently joined the family, so they may not have had a chance to listen to this. So again, under the Presidential Fast Track Initiative and other strategic frameworks we have, including the National HIV/AIDS Strategic Plan, which is signed up by none other than His Excellency the President, we set a target that out of the 46 or 45 million Ugandans, we want 95% of them to know their HIV status. Those who are eligible, at least we talk of a population which is sexually active, maybe 15 to 49. We seem to always assume that the senior citizens have retired from active service, and then the younger ones, the junior ones, 0 to about 15, we think they are not yet sexually active, but they have disproved us. Because we've had, for me, I'm a senior midwife, we've had young girls as young as 8 years actually getting pregnant. The youngest mother in Uganda was 8 years. And you wonder, because children are being fed very well these days, they attain their critical weight, the mass. You know, for a girl to start menstruation, it's not the age that matters. It's just the weight. You've seen children of you, the middle class and the working, who are fed on chips, and they start developing like juvenile obesity. For them to climb that staircase, they also breathe like an adult. They can't do what? They can't make it. So such a child will start having her periods at age 7, age 8. And the moment you start, a girl child starts having their periods, it means they can what? They can conceive. And that's very dangerous. So, but you take the entire population of Uganda, 46 million, that we want 95% of them to know their HIV status. Because HIV prevention starts with knowing your HIV status, what you are today. You cannot talk of preventing HIV when you don't know what your status is. And I want to announce that we came with some products here. Those of you who may wish to know your HIV status, don't run out of the training hall. Because sometimes when you mention that you want to test people, the commissioner, they might want to run away from us. So we are not going to test you. It is a voluntary. We have also come with, of course, we know that while you are here, you are not supposed to be sexually active, but we came along with some tools, like products, some condoms, just in case. So I found that one has interested them most. Okay. I found we shall leave them, they should not run. So we are saying our target is that we want to test 95, and for you as an RDC, as a chairperson NRM, you must ensure that the population in your district adheres to this target, because it's the people who don't know their status that are spreading HIV. They have HIV and they don't know who, you are going to see the messaging. But where are we as far as that target is concerned? We are at 92%. We are less by 3 percentage points, but I'm telling you, moving those 3 percentage points up to 95 is an uphill task, unless we work as a country, unless we work together, unless you amplify the president's message at every occasion and every opportunity you get in the districts there. The second 90 speaks to the number of people who have been tested HIV positive and they are put on ART.
No
they are put on
impact,
treatment.
no nothing on the ground.
So
what we
for
planned,
every
we never
HIV
implemented.
positive person,
Weak monitoring
there is
and
no reason why
coordination
they should
was
not be
one of
started.
them.
You saw earlier
And
we
we
talked
part of
about the
the
test and the treat.
coordinators.
We changed our policy. Unlike before where
So
we
what
used to
do you
say,
coordinate?
let's wait for the CD4
And when
cell
you
count to
coordinate and
go
identify
below
that there is a
200, below
problem, what do you
500.
do?
We now know that there
How
is
do
a
you do
very,
it?
very big benefit if
You know,
somebody
these are the
started
questions that we need to
on
ask
air
and
at
answer.
early. It's
What are
beneficial
the
to their
areas
own,
of
for their own health,
collaboration
but
with
also to
Office
the
of the
general
Prime
population.
Minister?
When that person
The
takes
Office of the
ARVs
Prime
for
Minister
only 6 months,
is by
HIV
constitution
is going to get killed, most of the HIV in their
responsible
bloodstream,
for
and the
coordinate,
sexual fluids, call them. Here, we are
monitoring,
going to call a spade a what?
evaluation, inspection,
A spade, even when my judge is here.
programs, projects,
So
and
we are going
policies.
to, so
Overall,
the issue is,
so everyone who is doing that
the ARVs literally
is
kill
under
the
the
virus,
supervision of the Office
so
of the
that
Prime
somebody,
Minister.
if they
So
went
if you are
on
doing
rampage
that
and
role,
slept with any
because
other unsuspecting
or
sexual
I was
partner,
appointed
they are not
because
going
there
to
was a
transmit
need.
HIV.
There was a
We talk of a
gap,
concept of you
which was
equals
timely
what?
to coordinate implementation of
equals
government
you.
programs.
I
So in
had the
other
marker
words,
here,
how
but
are we going
I
to
don't seem
coordinate
to see
between
it.
my office
You
and
equals
your
you
office?
means once
How do
you,
I support you
once
after
you
we have
reach
identified the bottlenecks that are impacting on service? Home that 17%.
this is undetectable.
Do you know why?
Detectable.
No impact, no nothing on the ground. What we planned, we never implemented. Weak monitoring and coordination was one of them. And we part of the coordinators.
When you swallow, when an HIV, a person living with HIV and AIDS swallows,
and when you coordinate and identify
they are highly,
that there is a problem,
very efficacious. They work
How
very
do you
well,
do it?
and they are very strong. They are ARVs.
You know, these are the
After
questions
6
that
months,
we need to ask and answer.
it's like their
What
body
are the
fluids
areas
will
of
have been
collaboration with
sterilized.
Office
You
of
can't
the
find
Prime
any,
Minister?
the virus
The
circulating.
Office
And
of
so
the
when they
Prime
go to the
Minister
lab and they test for
is by
HIV, they are going to
constitution
tell you virus
responsible
undetectable.
for mandated
So
to
in that
coordinate,
state, somebody can even have twins, and those twins are going to be
evaluation,
HIV what?
inspection of
HIV
government
negative.
programs, projects,
So
and policies.
in that state, you are not going to be able to
Overall,
transmit. That's why His Excellency
so
has called on
everyone who
Ugandans
is
on
doing that
most of the occasions we've celebrated, we've
under the
commemorated
supervision
World
of
AIDS
the
Day,
Office of the Prime
that we
Minister.
should love the
So
people
if you are doing
living with
that
HIV
role,
and AIDS. We should make
because
them their
my
friends.
role,
Because if you make them
well, I
our
was
friends,
appointed because
and we
there was
encourage
a
them
need.
to take their
There was
medications
a gap,
faithfully or religiously,
which was timely
HIV is
to
going to
coordinate
end with them.
implementation of
It will
government
never,
programs.
it will never
So in
get
other
out
words,
of that
how
person
are we going to coordinate between my
another
office
person,
and your
because
office?
the
How do I
ARVs
support
actually
you?
work. And
After we
that's
have
the state
identified
number.
the
Here we are
bottlenecks
tonight,
that
we are
are
doing very
impacting on
badly.
service.
Can you imagine we have identified 1.4 million Ugandans living with HIV and AIDS through our testing program, but we have only been able to start 90% of them on ARVs. The other 10% are still at large. Somebody tests, they get to know their HIV status, but they don't want to start on what? And those are a danger to the community, because in public health, you can only be protected if about 95% of the people are either immunized against a particular disease, like we had COVID, or 100%. But now we are still lingering at 90%. This is a very dangerous statistic. For the virally suppressed, out of the people we put on ARVs, at least about 94% of them have been able to suppress virus. When you take off their blood, you don't find HIV. So they are in this state of undetectable and transmissible. Those ones cannot transmit to any other Ugandans. Thank you very much. So we are doing accountability for you. You'll just look at this map. I'm going to leave the presentation with the Secretariat during your leisure. But we have distributed this. You can just look at it and know which part of Uganda you come from and what is the prevalence in that area, in that region. If I was to choose the safest part of Uganda to live today, I would go where? I would go where? You would go to West Nile. Thank you very much. You have a sharp eye. You would go to West Nile. But don't you be deceived, because even Karamoja. Oh, no, it's Karamoja. Do we have comrades from Karamoja? Yes. Put up your hands. So why don't we appreciate them? But you know, thank you very much. But don't you be deceived. We have gold in Karamoja and business is booming. So many of the other Ugandans are flocking Karamoja. Karamoja now is an open society, and the number of new infections is going what? Is going up. So I want to take you around the country very, very quickly. You identify which city you come from. Kampala, that's the prevalence. If you are, for most of you, if you looked at this slide, you wouldn't want to live in Fort Portal, isn't it? You do, but this is not to deter. They accused us for trying to chase away tourists that flock the tourism city. For us, we are giving you statistics so that you appreciate where you are, where your region is or city. So those of you who come from Barara, you see the situation is also not very good. That's where we are. And we have been around. I go back. No, but you are going to read for yours. You want? Now I found that the comrades are taking me back. They don't want me to leave the slides because they want to know where they are.
The slides will be given to you.
They will be given to you and you interrogate them at your, during your free time. Okay. So as you saw, we have made a lot of progress as a country, and therefore we must applaud and thank all of you. This has not been a one-man's show. His Excellency the President, you are his representatives in the local governments and cities where you are, and we must thank you. We can't thank you enough as RDCs, RCCs, deputies, and any other leader at that level. Thank you very much. So the disturbing information, according to our statistics and research we've done, is that of the 38,000 new infections that occur every year, the bulk of that is contributed by adolescent girls and young what? And young women. You are seeing close to 37%, 36% of this, of the 38 we saw, is contributed to by young adolescent girls, and these are people aged 14 or 15 to about 19. Can you imagine? This is an age group we thought if we were able to keep them in school with our UPE.
No impact.
5 minutes. I'm going to just be flipping slides until we get to the. So we know we have done our research, and we know now what is contributing to the burden of HIV. Our behavior, the multiple sexual partnerships that people tend to indulge in, and His Excellency on many occasions has really demystify the issue of HIV transmission. For him, he thinks, and he has always reminded us, that we know where HIV is transmitted, how it is transmitted, and where it comes from. Equivalent to a situation where you go poking your hand in the hole of an anthill, very well knowing that there is a what?
everyone
So
who is
if you
doing
end up being
that
bitten by that snake, do you
is
have
under the
anyone to blame
supervision
other
of
than
the office of
yourself?
the Prime Minister.
You just blame yourself.
So if you are doing that role, because my role, I was appointed because there was a need, there was a gap.
You take this view of those people. Fande is saying, don't concentrate only here, because those people need their faces on Twitter, and you know whatever we are doing here is being relayed directly. So I want every leader who is here to appear on Twitter that indeed you are attending a leadership training, and you are the vanguards in terms of fighting HIV and AIDS. So colleagues, comrades, can I have your attention, our comrades? I now want to briefly take you through the population segments that we believe are responsible for the high transmission rates of HIV, and these are called key populations. They include that category of sex workers and the others. I'll give you an example. Was it early last year when we hosted NAM? It was early last year. There is a sex worker in Kampala who confessed that for her she has never had a better day than this day, when she served 22 guests over a 24-hour period. She's very beautiful and pretty. By any chance, if you had opportunity to, and she passed here, you'll be forced to look a second especially the men, except my judge, but the rest of the of the men. So now, she said she served 17 internationals, and then the others were Ugandan high-profile people, including members of parliament. She also mentioned there was a minister. I don't know whether it is true, but she said for the internationals she was paid in dollars. And then for the Ugandans, they just call her, they go to a hotel and say, let me find you in this particular hotel, either Sheraton or Serena, a particular room, and then they sneak in and go and have their fun and then go away. Like that.
Do you know
so for her, she wishes that Uganda should host as many of those international events as possible.
Weak monitoring and coordination.
So why they are very vulnerable and their risk of transmission is high. For example, take an example for a person who uses and injects drugs. These are children of the affluent families usually. They don't mind, they can pluck off a flat screen from the living room and go and sell it at even 20 or 50,000 just to get money to buy their drug they are addicted on, because they become dependent. They can pluck off a spare tire from your big car and go and sell it off. So on a particular day when they have failed to get that opportunity, they are going to go call a friend, because they live in groups. They ask, have you been able to get today's dose? They say, I had only one dose, I've even injected myself. Where are you? They will call and go and look for their comrade there. When they reach, they say, can I draw blood from you? Because the drug is still circulating in the other one's bloodstream. They draw blood directly and inject themselves. When they inject themselves, they actually feel very good, because they have gotten part of of the drug. And mind you, how HIV is transmitted, the moment there is a break in the integrity of the skin. But this is direct. It's like HIV is traveling on a tarmac road. You draw blood directly from my jaja and put it in your bloodstream. So if my jaja has hepatitis B, if he has HIV, all the blood-borne infections, you are going to have them also. Are we together? So those ones stand a very high chance, 35 times risk of acquiring HIV. Then the people we talked about, they want to be called pleasure consultants these days. Don't call them sex workers anymore, because you consult them for pleasure. That's what they tell us. So they stand a 35% chance of acquiring HIV. And look at their prevalence. The sex workers, for us in the general population, we are at 5%. For them, out of every 100 sex workers, 30 of them have what? If you put them in the room and say 100 sex workers here, test them forcefully, 30 of them will have HIV, about 30 or even beyond. If you go to Kasensero landing site, where we took His Excellency the other time, the year before last year, for World AIDS Day, you find that out of 100 people living at the landing site, about 60 of them have what? HIV. So it's a very bad situation. So that's why we advocate for equity. When we are programming for HIV, even in your districts, don't discriminate against these sex workers. All you need to do is to map where they are operating from, make them your friends, and make sure you mobilize the medical team to make sure they access HIV prevention services. Otherwise, if you try to harass them, they will go underground, and they have now adopted many methods of vending their sex online. They just go to a hotel and somebody pays and they sneak in, and you will not know what is happening. So you are better off giving them information. In India, we went to benchmark the Indian program. We spent 2 weeks there. What we learned is that for them, they work very closely. The leaders like you work very closely with police because you are in charge of the command, the security at that level. Don't all the time think of deploying the DPC and his team to just go and arrest these girls, because we have agreed with the districts to map these hotspots. Recently, we were with MPs in Mubende and Kasanda, where they are mining gold, and many of our young girls have migrated to Kasanda and Mubende because of the gold mining activity, and people have disposable income. So we agreed we are going to map those as hotspots and take HIV prevention services there. And I'm telling you, once you sensitize them, they will not accept to have sex without what? Without condoms. Because the condom has been a proven commodity when it comes to a weapon in the fight against HIV and AIDS. So what are we talking about when it comes to service delivery? We don't want to discriminate against anyone. Whether one is a sex worker, whether the other one is an injecting drug user, all you need to do now, we have a rehabilitation center, government funded in Butabika National Referral Hospital. Previously, people used to take their children to Nairobi and other places, and it's very expensive. You have to deposit like 50 million shillings to start before they can accept to admit your child in a rehabilitation center. We can't afford that sort of money. All we need is to work with the political, with the religious and cultural leaders, with families, to ensure that children who have already become deviants and have been addicted, we take them and they receive rehabilitation services. So we've been moving around to talk to leaders like you about the fact that we should not discriminate against anybody. We have moved around with our Honorable Minister for the Presidency. You can see her in the picture there. We have also sensitized the leadership of the police. Police is under you, isn't it? We have sensitized the top leadership, including the IGP. Those are pictures for you to see, as well as their deputies. And especially last year when we were trying to respond to the American government and other friends, that we are discriminating against people who prefer to, who have perverted sexual behavior like the homosexuals. We went around telling people that, you don't have to discriminate against them. Let's talk to them. That's what His Excellency guided, that they don't all belong to Chitalia, and he instructed Parliament to revisit the law and make sure we give them opportunity to be spoken to be rehabilitated, and who knows, as we talk now, the number is doing what? Is reducing. But if we had gone the other aggressive way and said, let us arrest them, would have been blackmailed by many governments, and you remember they cut our funding last time. So what they get, we have another presidential directive on messaging, HIV messaging. His Excellency realized that the country was receiving conflicting messages on HIV prevention. 3 minutes, I'm about to conclude, my brother. He said we must set up a committee that will vet every HIV prevention message that will be going out there. And we did this. It's at Uganda's commission. It's a multi-sectoral committee. All MDAs are represented, civil society and everyone. So before any message is aired on radio, on television, on social media, it must be vetted. So we now have standardized messages. Daudi, we came with, I don't know whether the number will be enough for our leaders here, but most of you have received this. We have a blue booklet that summarizes. How many of us have received these blue booklets? Quite a sizable number. Your seniors have received. For you, we shall make special arrangements to make sure we deliver, because we are still moving around the country. We are only able to carry about 100 copies, and we are more than 100 from what I see. So you are but I'm not going to take a long time talking about the messages. So they are segmented in such a way that we have messages for adolescents. We saw that the adolescents are responsible by far for the largest number of new infections that are happening in the country, about 36%. We have messages for parents, the men, the very difficult men, you and me, The people living with HIV and AIDS, we have messages for them, segmented, and clearly, responding to the contemporary times. Because gone are the days when we used to scare people on UBC and other media stations with the coffins, HIV, AIDS skills, and stuff like that. People are now insensitive. When you talk about, we bring the subject of HIV, they are not going to listen to you. You say, we've listened to the story of HIV for 30 years and beyond. What are you talking about? So we now have messages that rhyme with the contemporary thinking, the current times. And we want, for example, we have a message for adolescents. I will be reading one message because you are going to receive the PowerPoint presentation, but also the blue booklet. The message which must resonate with us, if you had forget everything else I've talked about, is this one here. Your negative HIV, your negative status expires every time you have unprotected sex with someone whose HIV status you do not what? You don't know. For example, you came to KYANKWANZI the other day on the 16th, and then you identified a good, a beautiful, I don't know whether fund allows you to go and graze outside of the compound of this place, a beautiful either Muganda, and then all of a sudden you are tempted, zero grazing, isn't it? Paddock. Yeah, we under paddock grazing. We don't. So if you, for example, if you went out, when you go back to your comfort zones, your districts and cities, municipalities, you are going to be exposed to those because many people want to associate with the leaders. All the beautiful, single and searching are going to be looking for you. Should you make a mistake and get out of your way, then the day you cross, the day you indulge in that sexual act, if you left your home when you know your status, you're HIV negative, it has expired. It will require you a rigorous process of retesting yourself until after the end of 3 months. It's not a good thing. So the messages have been segmented in such a way that they speak to the current, for all age groups, as you can see. For the leaders, we should provide clear and accurate information on how to prevent HIV. That's why we come to speak to you. And we want His Excellency directed. That's why we are working with my employer here. We are working with the RDCs, RCCs, deputies and assistants to make sure that we amplify the President's message on HIV prevention. But it must be accurate. So when you get the correct information from us, you are operative, the technocrats, then you are going to communicate. For example, if His Excellency came here one of these days and he gets a mic to speak, you might think he's a medical doctor. What makes him such a very astute man is because he listens to us. Whatever we tell him, he understands, he reads, and then when he stands us speak, he can never make a mistake like Trump made, that you can transfuse JIC in somebody who has what? Who has COVID-19, and then he felt embarrassed, and that was not very good for him. Maybe he did not listen to his scientists who manage him. Because you know that if you put JIC in somebody's bloodstream, they are going to just die. So what an embarrassment that he got. But His Excellency has never made such a blunder because he listens. Are we together, friends? So lastly, our roles and responsibilities. We've been given roles and responsibilities by the Office of the President. That is our job to disseminate these messages. Whether, I don't think there is going to be a function in a city, local government or municipality, and they don't invite an RDC, they don't invite chairperson NRM, because everybody wants to associate with the class, with the leadership of the country now, currently, so that society really knows that you are part of the system. We want you to air, whether it's at funerals, any opportunity you get, remind people that HIV is there. We don't have a vaccine yet, neither have we gotten a cure. People think that swallowing ARVs is such a simple thing. You just get a bout of malaria one of these days and they give you Coartem. You feel nauseated. Some of you may not even complete the dose. So imagine somebody who is taking ARVs for the rest of their lives. It's not an easy thing. So nobody should deceive you. So in terms of monitoring, for us we have the RDC, RCC talk time. The Uganda Communication Commission, Minister of ICT, gave us an opportunity that all media owners must set aside time for us to mobilize the population. Don't talk about PDM only. It's only a health person that will be able to use the PDM funds for them to enrich and transform their lives, isn't it? So let's also remember that health is very key. Finally, and we are going to hold you accountable on the number of talk shows you have held and how many times you have been able to talk about HIV. These are the questions that we normally use to probe when we come there. What are the key issues coming out from the booklet on HIV messaging? How many talk shows have you conducted, for example, in a quarter? So, the roadmap we agreed, I cannot afford to leave this place without talking about the executive orders, because there is rumor out there. We got it recently in Mubenda and Kassanda when we went with members of parliament, that Trump has taken away all the HIV men are going to go without what? Without treatment. Have you heard about that rumor? It's not true. We are here to demystify that rumor. And when you go back, assure the population at every opportunity that His Excellency the President has committed. He has already said it many times, that even if they took away their money, we shall find the money to look after our own what? Our people. You cannot be a government worth the name, and it can't happen in our NRM government. You know this for sure. Are we together? So it is estimated that if they implement the executive orders and take away the money, we are going to lose about 350 million US dollars. That's close to 1.9, close to 2 trillion Uganda shillings. But I want to assure you, ever since the executive orders were issued, the 90-day period we are waiting, expiring on the 18th of April next month, for them to review their PEPFAR aid, external aid, including the HIV funding. For us, we have already worked on a policy brief. We have handed it over to our employers here. Our minister already has a policy brief which is going to inform a cabinet paper. We have scientifically computed the gap that we are likely to get in terms of funding. And we have already, why the Director General was not able to come himself is that they engage in different committees of Parliament, because you know, Parliament appropriates what? Resources. But above all, we have a commitment from the head of state that we shall find money to look after our people. So the message I want you to carry when you go back, these are the timelines. You remember on the 24th of, that's when he authored the first executive order as President Trump. These ones you read on your own. So we have projected, if we lose this funding, how are we going to fare as far as the fight against HIV and AIDS is concerned? This is IFO. The rationale for long-term HIV program sustainability. If we lose that funding, the epidemic is going to continue like this if we maintain the status. But the moment we work on the SDG targets and get the funding from Parliament, you are going to see how we are going to dent the HIV. And many countries in the region have surpassed us. Rwanda, Tanzania. Can you imagine the Republic of Tanzania, people who don't even speak good English, they are good at Swahili, isn't it? In terms of programming for HIV and AIDS, they have already achieved epidemic control. Kenya has, and Rwanda. And they cannot draft us when most of the time they come to learn, they have come to learn from His Excellency, the President here. So that's why we are saying, let us reawaken the leadership of the country and we regain our glory in the fight against HIV. This is the funding landscape. By 2023-24, 1 minute, USG PEPFAR was funding us about 56% when it comes to HIV. Can you imagine? That's a colossal sum of money. This breakdown of who is contributing how much, so the policy brief is here. The Director General instructed me to share with you so that you know that Uganda is commissioned. By the way, this is an assessment done by the public. One of the best performing government agencies we have currently is Uganda is commissioned. If I don't blow my trumpet, who else will blow it for me? Under the leadership of Dr. Nelson and the current board members. Finally, allow me scare my comrades here with Mpox. I know Minister of Health may have spoken about it, but just to show them figures, the relationship between Mpox and HIV. Again, our analysis has shown that Mpox is affecting mainly people living with HIV and what? AIDS. The case fatality, if, God forbid, if you had HIV and on top of HIV you get Mpox, the chances of dying are higher compared to me if I got Mpox today, or any of us here. That's why we want, there is a very close relationship. And if you want to confirm, go to Entebbe, our center of excellence for treating monkeypox. The guidelines have been issued by Ministry of Health. I want to just take you to the bad pictures. Can you imagine? About when we analyze, about 15.8% of cases were HIV positive, people who are suffering from what? Monkeypox. This is how it presents, very ugly. There are even uglier pictures. I wanted to save your faces by not showing, but you'll see that men in Entebbe, there is a man who actually got amputated. The private parts just dropped off, and you are rendered useless. For the ladies, they are ugly, but we have been instructed to share with you this. Last night, where I slept on the way as I was coming here, I told them to give me a flat iron so that I read what? I re-iron the bed sheets, because who knows, somebody with mpox could have slept and used that what? That linen. I'm sure our hygiene here at Nali is at its best. So that's why we want, when you are talking about HIV, don't forget to talk about what? Monkeypox. So dear comrades, it has been a pleasure. I want to thank you for listening to me. I have said all this on behalf of the Director General.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Now, before you leave the stage,
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to request you
Yes.
2 statements.
Yes, Doctor.
What would you want this leader to do as far as the fight
Against HIV and AIDS is concerned.
concerned?
Thank you very much.
Just in 2 statements, just them champions of hustling in that fight. Yes. Two statements.
Thank you very much. The leadership in the fight against HIV and AIDS was placed in the highest office in the land, globally, by UNAIDS. And we just domesticated that policy here. And so the people I'm talking to, majority of them work with the office of the what? Of the president. And our mighty party, the NRM what? Party. Are we together? I just wanted to remind you before I make my statements. Is that statement I've made true or false?
Yes, sir.
It's true. So, and you very well know that His Excellency the President on planet Earth has been rated as #1 head of state in the fight against what? Globally. It's not disputed. So my request therefore to you, since you put on the shoes of His Excellency the President, he's both the chairman for our party, so that I will be talking to my judge here, because there is the NRM chairperson for my district, and then for you as an RDC, you are his ambassador in that local government where you are deployed. So who are you to betray His Excellency the President, and you don't pioneer the fight against HIV and AIDS, and we end AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. So your task after here, we want to seek for your commitment that you are going to use all the available avenues and tools at your disposal, including the free airtime on these FM stations. Your leadership office, you move with a lot of respect. People call us respect. I want you to use that respect that you have in society to be the leader and the pioneer, so that it is reported that in Kaliro has been the first district to eliminate, to end AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. So if you achieve that and your district is announced as #1 district to have ended AIDS as a public health threat, then the glory will go to His Excellency the President, the country, and God finally. Are we together, friends? I can't say more than that, other than requesting you for your what? For your leadership and commitment. My contact Fande, can I write for them? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
The doctor is leaving you his number and his email. There is other one statement here explaining, I don't know why, that age kills. Is it not true?
No, it doesn't kill.
Yes. Where are you hiding from the audience? He's trying to keep a positive statement and run away from the one which is very obvious. That AIDS does what? So, AIDS does what? So, even with these ARVs present and all the prevention methods we have tried to deploy in the fight, AIDS still does what? So if we want to protect our people, if we want to protect our society, we must be very, very informed of that fact. People may think that with the coming of ARVs, AIDS now no longer does what? But it does still. Secondly, first of all, let me thank you, Doctor, for an elaborate presentation. Please, asante sana. You will have the copy for those who want. And for those who want, for those who don't want, we will report it on me. Because it is our responsibility that all of you get copies of the presentations that have come from here. Secondly, when you live here, the paddock, don't go and be nomadic and exercise free range grazing, which may result into some of these problems. Thirdly, the copies that Doctor has brought here, I will give priority to our NRM district chairperson. For the RDCs, I know we have been attending some of these sessions and we have received copies. But still, for us, between us and you, it's very easy to coordinate this. The commissioner is here who is representing the office of the RDC. That is very, very easy. Through your regional supervisors, you can always get the copies. But our district chairperson, we shall give you priority in accessing the copies first. And I believe you are not as many as 100. 130. 146. Don't worry. Don't worry. So, I think that is okay. And can we have like three people who want to make reaction to the doctor's presentation? One. I repeat from the center, two. No one this side. So we'll have to give a chance to this. Okay. Let me do yes, come here. 3. 1, 2, 3. No, we are done. To do it. They are not ready. Ladies, where are you? I want to give a chance to ready. Are you ready to ask them where you are? Okay, don't mind. Where are the mics? Yes. Thank you. I invited all the 3 people, and I expect all the 3 people here. Yes, thank you so much, Doctor. And let's see if you are ready. I can flex the order if you are ready. I'm Jose Cyrus, the Federal Assistant Doctor. So let's listen to each other. Doctor, we are having Ebola in Toroku. And the biggest challenge is when these contacts are being evacuated from their homes. You find a family that has, say, 6 to 7 contacts. When these people are being evacuated to safe places, these people don't have, they have animals. The challenge we're having in the district is the resistance they have because no one is going to look after their animals. They have birds, they have cows, and they say, if you are taking all of us in those places, how are we going to manage our homes? Is there a policy in your department that look for these families in a way of helping us not have much resistance. Because when you assign police, maybe to keep their property in the night, what about feeding them, feeding those animals and birds? You know it very well, I think the minister is in our region today, the same cause. So we need that advocate. What do we do to this family? Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrade from Toroko.
Thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. Mine is an appeal.
The name again,
My
remind
name
us.
is Peter Banya. I am the Deputy RCC, Kulu City. There are so many innovations that have been developed of late. But it's so unfortunate that in most cases when we get a presentation, those initiatives are not talked about. And yet those initiatives, they look like they are really helping so much to reduce the spread of HIV. One is PrEP, and then test. Then we have self-test. When you realize that those approaches, if we amplify them in the public, it will help. But to my dismay, you find that the majority of our population do not know about those initiatives that are there. They come to know about it when someone has been raped or they feel that they have been exposed to HIV/AIDS. And when they go to the hospital, then they bring them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Peter.
Yes, thank you. By the name of Msuba Yusuf, I am the chairman in RDCs. In the Bugisu region, during circumcision, our elders keep on telling us that a man who is circumcised reduces the spread of HIV. I want you to tell me how difficult is this. Then another thing, which methodology did you use to benchmark where you say, is it India?
Yes, please.
We don't know which method you use to determine whether India they don't have. Maybe we can use that in benchmarking so that we can also reduce on the virus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. Comrade Yusuf.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm Nancy Caroline.
The name again?
Nancy Caroline, Deputy RCC Mapping. One, I've been in Mapping for 7 months, Doctor. But these are the two observations. One, the committees are not active, they are not functioning. They are not functioning. We have concentrated on many other things like Mpox and Ebola, and we are leaving out HIV. So if there is any way that we can reactivate those committees and they function, for example, we need to do the trainings of the health workers, the in-charges, the key stakeholders, because we are always in transit, we are moving. So if I go back and tell my people, so I request for training of that. Then thirdly, as I finish, when I was in sub-region of Bunyoro, there was a Baila, an NGO called Baila Uganda. And it was extending a very good service as far as HIV is concerned. So thank you. So as for in Kampala, we request that if there is a way that you can give us Baila, because they are very, very good. It's very good. Because I don't see any NGO which is investing in HIV. Then lastly, Doctor, as far as Mpox is concerned, actually we are doing very well. But we always meet every Friday. And when we start, the members of the task force requested me that I invite to the Honorable Minister for Health. So if there is a way that you can make for me an appointment, I'm confident with the Honorable Minister, so that we can share some of our challenges and we see how we can attend our task force meeting. Then lastly, I want to also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Nelson. He's very supportive.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I am about this morning. I'm the Deputy RDC in Mirage District. I first would want to thank His Excellency. I first would want to thank His Excellency the President for the initiative that he took in 1992. And down the road, around the year 2002, we started experiencing some decline in the funding. And as we talk now as a country, we are aware that the American government is removing some of their funding. But I do vividly recall that some years back, through the initiative of the President, there was an initiative put in place, the 1% budgeting in the local government. So my question is, as Uganda Aid Commission, what strategy have you put in place to make sure that the local government implement that arrangement of 1% so that as a local government, we are able to fit for all those coordination structures, the DAC, and what have you? I would want to know. Thank you.
All right. Can I go ahead and respond? Thank you. Thank you very much, comrades, and I want to be very brief in responding to these issues. It's a demonstration that you've really listened in attentively. So there is Ebola in Morocco, and Comrade Cyrus is wondering what strategies we have in place as a government to ensure that when we are enlisting contacts are those people who have come in close proximity or who have lived with a person who has been diagnosed and confirmed to have Ebola. So our public health statement that we normally take are such that we must we do isolate those people and incarcerate them somewhere for about 21 days. And then the reason is we want to monitor them just in case they caught the virus Ebola. We should be able to respond appropriately. You know, in the case fatality rate of the number of people who get Ebola, quite a large number are likely to die if you don't intervene early. That's what we call a case fatality rate. So the reason we isolate them is, one, we don't want them to interact with other people who have not interacted with the confirmed case. But two, just in case they developed the disease, we want to treat them early so that we save their lives. Now, our colleagues belong to the cattle keepers, and that's their economic livelihood, looking after their animals. So a case he has quoted of a family that could be having anywhere between 5 or 7 people, and all these have been, and then one is diagnosed with Ebola. So it meant that we must evacuate all of them and bring them to Buhinga Regional Referral Hospital. That's Fort Portal. So what then happens to their herds? This is now an issue that must be handled. It calls for innovation from you, the leaders of the local government. You remember what happened in Karamoja when cattle rustling became a big problem from the Turkana and other tribes of Western Kenya? And His Excellency directed that they deployed UPDF, and UPDF took charge of looking after the herds of our Ugandans who live in that part of the country. For quite some time they were there. So they collected all the animals in collection centers. They would go and graze them in the company of our UPDF armed officers. So they would be brought back to base safely. So equally, you can do something as leaders. It's a question of discussing with the NRM chairperson here, the RDC who is in charge of security, and ensure that that family that has been afflicted by Ebola, at least their animals are taken care of. You don't expect everything to be done by Minister of Health or His Excellency the President when you, the leaders, are there on the ground. My view is that I just want to throw it back to you, the leadership, because these are not many cases. One isolated case in a district or two, you cannot fail to provide security. And I'm glad security is within our ambit as RDCs and RCCs. So I can't speak so much on that point, but I've given you the public health importance of isolating people who have been in close contact with the people, anyone who has been confirmed with Ebola. Ebola is a viral hemorrhagic disease which kills very badly.
if you are not being... So the policy on home isolation, for example, we attempted that, but you know people don't adhere. If you go and give guidelines to those people of that family and say, please isolate yourself, stay in your home and don't interact with anybody. Between you and me, that's a very hard policy to implement. There is a public health policy which requires people to just home isolate. You just go and issue an order as an RDC with your security team. We don't want any of the family members to leave this place. It happened sometime in Kasanda and Mubende, where we had an opposition, I think, for LC5 chairperson that was in Kasanda. I think they are DP. They don't subscribe to our party. And then they were working counter to our efforts of controlling Ebola. And so people were allowed to move at large. And so you must make sure that you generate consensus at district level. Work with the leadership, the political leadership, and for us, the appointed what? The appointed leaders. Number 2, initiatives to reduce the HIV, for example, PEP, REP, and others. They have not been marketed so much by the Ministry of Health. As I told you, Uganda's Commission works, as the presidency, we work with everybody. Mine is to document this message and take it back. I was part of the initiatives of PrEP, for example. We went to the US to benchmark the efficacy of PrEP. We visited 3 states, and we learned that it's a very good drug, that if PrEP is a drug you give to an HIV negative person, for example, these sex workers you saw, who have a higher vulnerability of getting HIV. So as they go about their daily business of serving anybody they wish, even if one of them has HIV, they will not contract HIV because they will be already having drugs circulating in their blood. It's called PrEP. Now, that program is still on. The challenge is that it has been, previously it was funded by the American government. It's one of the programs we are appealing to His Excellency, the President, to prevail over the Minister of Finance to give us money, and we do fill that gap when the Americans finally go away, take away their money. But it's still on. Don't scare the population to say there is any program that has been disrupted. All services are on, and we are going to continue serving. Then in Subuga, the Imbalu, in that part of Uganda, you know that when every even year, our colleagues, the Bamasaba, the Bagisu, go through those rituals of initiating young men into adulthood. It's a cultural norm that must be, embraced by everybody. But during those cultural festivities, a lot of activity goes on. They dance, they do what, and celebrate. As they celebrate, their young ones having been initiated or being initiated into adulthood. So those festivities normally cause us problems when it comes to the fight against HIV. Traditionally, before HIV, when a Mugisu is on a trail dancing and following the Kadodi dance, it's called the Kadodi, and evening or night falls, I hear any woman closest to you will be your human blanket that evening. You don't have to look very far. Anyone who is closest to you is your human what? Your human blanket. Share your life with them, and life continues. The next day like that, there are people, young people would leave their homes for weeks on end until the Imbalu season does what? Because every day they have another what? Another partner. But gone are the days. We don't want people to live such reckless lives. That's why we took it upon ourselves as the presidency, and we trained all the circumcisers. We call them now surgeons. They used to use one sharp knife, and they would line up like 10 young boys and cut very sharp to the extent that they don't need to resharpen it after one candidate. But that was very dangerous also in the early days of HIV, because if one of them had HIV and you circumcise using the same instrument, you circumcise the second child, then it meant you are going to transmit what? HIV. But we've done a lot. We have educated them, and none of them is doing such. They even sterilize those packs. They have a knife for every candidate. So we've come a long way. Now what remains to be done is to fix those loose ends, the festivities of Imbalu. How do we, sensitize the people? Normally, every evening year we go and camp in Mbale. We talk to the leaders. I don't know how many times I've been to Mbale myself. First of all, I did my internship in Mbale. I understand their culture very well. That's where I was trained to become a senior midwife. So, my dear, our leaders from that part of it, and other regions that have, for example, Lango and the Acholi sub-region, you have this culture and norm of overstaying on funerals. I don't know how long they celebrate a funeral. And how many days? Again, those are a recipe for HIV transmission, because when night falls, people get excited under the influence of the local brew and whatever. So ours is to make sure that we sensitize people that HIV still exists. And so I can't say much on that one. The methodology we use to benchmark India. You know, when you go, like most of you have been to these trips, okay. You just go and study their program. We went and studied their program of HIV, especially among the key populations, those people who use and inject drugs, the sex workers. We learned that in India, in any city, when you go there, and you are either on a business trip or a tourist, and you wanted pleasure, you wanted an Indian woman, they adorn a certain flowers, they look green. Others, the normal population, put on different fragrance and colors of flowers. So if you have a hotel, even police knows if you're a foreigner and they see you tapping an Indian woman putting a green flower in her hair, they know you are now taking a sex worker to your what? To your hotel. Nobody will touch you. They let you, but what they have done, they have sensitized those sex workers. They will not allow to sleep with you without a condom. So it's official. They make money from them. In Europe, they have red light districts where you go for a trip, and if you want to just use your eyes to see, you go and put a coin, and then the table rotates. Purely naked women, and then you go looking. You use your eyes to see. If you appreciate them and you want to sleep with any of them, you now pay $50 to $100. Then you enter, but they are screened, they are looked after very well. They don't have any sexually transmitted infection. And for you, don't expect that you are going to pick your gonorrhea from Africa or from Uganda and you take it where? Because their sex industry is a business venture. They collect a lot of revenue from there. We have not yet reached that level, but we are saying for us, let's educate our young girls who are involved in, if you wish, prostitution or the transactional sex, and we make it safer. Caroline, the structures of our HIV, the committees to which we are members, the RDCs, the RCCs are members of these AIDS committees. Again, the challenge we face is that majority of them have been supported by PEPFAR money, which Trump wants to take away. Again, you and me, and I'm glad the NRM chairpersons are here. Let's join hands and speak to His Excellency the President and say, these programs are very important. For you to be able to say you are going to be in charge of the HIV prevention and control in the local government, you must sit and discuss, gazette the hotspots. When we were in Mubenda and Kasanda last week, we asked the leaders, tell us the hotspots, and we went and visited them in the evening and confirmed with our eyes that indeed there are a lot of, it's a cosmopolitan kind of society. You find Rwandese are there, Kenyans are there. I was shocked to find Nigerians. Nigerians are ever looking for wherever opportunities exist. Kasanda is hosting Nigerians as well, who have come to explore gold. Can you imagine? Ugandans, we are here sleeping, but there are Nigerians who are making money, and for us who own the resources, we are not there in Kasanda. So, and these people are reckless with their lives. Once they get money and drink a beer or two, they now look for our beautiful girls. And who knows if they have HIV. So it's your duty as a leader to make sure that you map these hotspots, and then you come and discuss in these AIDS committees. The district AIDS committee, sub-county AIDS committee, up to village, we had thought we would take them, decentralize them as far as the village, but because of lack of resources. These days, Ugandans, we are spoiled. For every meeting, you want to be paid even to get information. For you are a captive audience here. That's why I've been able to have all of you. But if it were not for the fact that you are, because of your leadership role, I came to your district, most of you would be giving excuses. I have a meeting to attend, doctor. We have listened to HIV for a long time. Most of you don't just when we come to the local governments there and cities. Because you want to be paid, you first want to find out how much is Uganda's commission going to pay. Office of the President doesn't pay us a lot. If it was a partner like Beira, she has mentioned Beira. Beira would have given us maybe 100. I can go and do my other hustles elsewhere. So that culture was spoiled by the very Americans who are taking away their money. They first made us depend on allowances. If you are to call a meeting on any village today, people expect to be paid. Yet you are going to educate them about their own health, how they can keep safe. So, but for us as leaders, we must initiate and ride on the government programs of barazas. When the OPM has organized a baraza, make sure you decentralize these barazas up to sub-county level. As an RDC, you can cause a meeting at a sub-county and talk about a development issue, a health issue, together with the political leadership of the district. Bunyoro, we cannot direct Beira to come to Kampala because we divided the country and apportioned the partner, which partner should go where. So they write particularly, they have been writing grants to the American government and they are given money to work either in Bunyoro, either to work in the Bugisu sub-region or to work in Acholi or Lango. That's why we've been naming them sites Acholi, sites Lango, we fight Beira, Bunyoro, like that. IDI, that's how the programs have been designed. So I cannot assure you that I'm going to go back and tell the minister or my director general to say, Beira, you also go and serve the people where? Of Makindye. We rationalized partner support. So finally, Margaret, the declining funding and what can we do to sustain HIV funding? Again, a directive. There is a ministerial policy statement that the directive, budget, whatever, this is a budget called circular or something from PSST, where local governments, the accounting officers, be it a town clerk, city clerk, or COW, are supposed to set aside 0.1% of the central government transfers, except the wage, which is committed, and gratuity. But of the rest of the money that is going to come from the center, you are supposed to save 0.1% and use it to do HIV programs. Some of this money, if collected and realized and used appropriately, is what we expect to support these meetings at local government, at city and municipality level. I don't know if I have time to respond to these others which were written Afande. I don't know, maybe they are sensitive. Let me just scan through in 1 minute and see. My time is fast spent. There is rumors that there is HIV/AIDS vaccines. Can you clarify? Yes, it is true. The vaccines are there, but they are still under trial. None has been approved for deployment at population level. So I made a statement here that why we need to remind the population there is no cure, there is no vaccine to HIV, and we don't expect this in the next 10 years. All these international conferences we've been attending, there is only an attempt to cure. One German was cured because just using bone marrow transplant or stem cells. So it's still in research level. We don't know. And for you, Bill Gates has given us a lot of money to do vaccine research, but we have not female condoms. If yes, why not in place? We have the female condoms. Unfortunately, when I was coming, I only picked male condoms, and I did not come with the female condoms. But we shall make arrangements. For them, they go with the sensitization. You cannot give any woman a female condom and you think they will use it correctly. In Karamoja, we attempted, and what they ended up doing, they would remove the rings and use them as bangles or bracelets around there. Yes. So it's not like that. So with education, we first sensitize you, especially you, the educated mothers of this country. We can give you, but we need, I even have a video. I'm going to leave the video here. During your free time, you tell a funder here to make sure they play for you those videos. Some of you talk about using condoms, but you don't know how to use them correctly. So you end up getting HIV, hepatitis B, because you think by merely, some of you pick a condom and you go, you sit in your car, it is hot, you sit on it, then you are expecting an encounter in the evening. That's when you think of pulling it out. It has already lost its efficacy. It will not help you. You are just deceiving yourself that you are using a condom with somebody whose HIV status you don't know. So I want to leave that video here. You'll also watch it. It's important as leaders, however religious or however faithful you are to your partner, Let others who might get tempted view that what? That video. It has also, it teaches us how to use a female condom, that very video. Thank you very much. I think I beg to end here. Comrades, this one is a bit crowded. We are informed that the worrying rates of HIV in our society, but unfortunately when out people die, mentions HIV and AIDS burial, or the burial. People are shy to talk about HIV, that somebody has died of AIDS, an AIDS-related illness at a burial. I think in African society, it is so stigmatizing and you face challenges. Even when you know pretty sure that this person has been swallowing ARVs. I don't know how many times my grandfather here has spoken at any funeral when we lost people back at home in the village. It takes a lot of courage, but you can find ways of going around it. You say His Excellency, the President committed Uganda to end AIDS as a public health threat come 2030. We don't want to lose anyone. You don't point to the person you are mourning that time. Are we together? We don't want to lose anyone. And you find you are all adults and you know how you can go about it. But it's really very hard for you to say, Shaban, God forbid, I die today and you come at my funeral, you know I've been living with HIV AIDS and you've seen me going downhill, and you say, honestly speaking, mourners, this man here, you know, he has been living with HIV and what could have killed him must be what? HIV. So you must be careful, the rest of you. Can you really have the courage to say that? It's very difficult, but we have always found ways of going around such complex scenarios. With that, Afande, I want to thank my comrades for listening to me. I look forward to another opportunity when I will come back and we interact with you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I think the talk was very informative. Sure. How can I call people here and ask them to raise your hand? I'm sorry if it's not.
How do I take a picture with them? I just stand in the corridor.
Okay. The doctor wants a picture. You look for where you want to stand, especially those behind who didn't benefit from. Then they can take the photo. Now we are. It's a race against time. Doctor and your team from AIDS Commission, thank you so much. Convey our regards to the Executive Director that you ably represented him. And if you can't say it better, I can do that on your behalf. And but I must say that the presentation was okay. And please, when we go back, I think the key message was that when we go back as leaders, let's see how we can mainstream this fight in our day-to-day business. You know, wherever you have an opportunity, some of you are not only chairpersons of the party, you are also leaders in other respective capacities. You could be heads of laities in the churches, you could be chairpersons of parish councils, you could be MPs, you could be muftis and sheikhs, and you can always have platforms where you can share this message. But for you, our close lieutenants in the office of the president, all the time, the platform is very available to communicate to the people. So please make sure that this message is good. And like I said, look at the data. Look at the data. Then when you go back, see what you can fight. Which intervention strategies are you going to deploy so that we can now downscale the prevalences in our areas of responsibilities? Are we together? Oh, you are all sleeping. Are we together? Yes, sir. Very good. Course? I think now as we talk, we already have another team of presenters. I will give them an opportunity to proceed so that after that we can go for a break tea, so that we are able to manage time. This is a team from the Ministry of Water and Environment. I will invite the presenter to come over here. The presenter, how many are you two? Okay. You come over there. There you have your contacts. I also now want to hand over to my colleague, Assistant Director Richard Bakoja to chair the next session. This is a very interesting sector, water and environment. We are going to listen from the ministry, and I think the people from National Water should be joining you anytime. And it's quite heavy, so let's be attentive. But I will also request them that they try as much as summarize, because so many people will be coming to switch on. So please welcome the session chair. Karibu sana. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's okay. You talk. Where the?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
HIV AIDS Commission, and from what I listened to, the information was so good and very fascinating. Having listened to that, which affects all of us in our health and our well-being, we are following up with yes. Where is that? Okay. We are coming to something quite tangible, and part of the priority manifesto pledges that we undertook to implement during this term 2021-2026. I'm glad to welcome the Minister of Water and Environment to take stock of what they have been able to implement. And you know, you people at the district level, our chairman, our RDCs and deputies and assistants, you know what is going on. Be careful, listen attentively, take note, and challenge where needs be or confirm, because these are data they are going to share with us. So let me take the opportunity to introduce Assistant Commissioner Policy and Planning, Minister of Water and Environment, Mr. Masava Andrew, who is going to be the presenter on behalf of the Permanent Secretary. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Director. Excellencies, good morning. I was here a week ago. How you greet here? Any volunteer? Horse? Horse? Okay, thank you. My name is Andrew Masava. I'm Assistant Commissioner Finance and Planning, Ministry of Water and Environment. I've been with Ministry of Finance, but I've just moved to Ministry of Water. It's a diverse sector, colleagues, so you allow me to give a chance to my colleagues here to also introduce themselves. They'll be supporting in answering some of the questions that will arise.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Boba, working as active commissioner in the Department of the Services and the Ministry of Water and Environment. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is PhD. I work with the Ministry of Environment, the
Department, Development Commissioner. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Paul Magara Nicholas. I work as the Acting Assistant Commissioner in the Department of Environment Sector Support Services, the Ministry of Water and Environment.
We have to stay there.
And I'm happy to be here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Boss. My first time.
Yeah, but the sensitivity is low.
Dr. Engineer Kagine Francis. I work as an Assistant Commissioner, Rural Water.
Okay.
So I am in charge of technical support water.
Yeah, he's the one.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alan Gary. I work as the principal engineer in the Urban Water Supply and Storage Services Department. I'm representing the Commission.
He's also the one.
I'm Engineer Alexis Sagara, National Consumer Corporation, United States.
They haven't had. Engineer, they haven't had. They haven't had.
Thank you very much, Lucy. My name is Engineer Alex Sagara, National Consumer Corporation. I've been here with you many, many times. I have engineering services, and I'm ready to present the manifesto for this for the 5 years. Thank you. Morning, everyone. My name is Jessica.
It can go? Show me. Show me, show me, show me. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is back. Okay. Okay, it's one team, so I'm going to present and then we shall answer the questions. We prepared the presentations by region. So you have 4 presentations. The first presentation is for Western, and then the second is Central. We shall have Eastern, and then we have Northern. They are heavy presentations, but we are going to run through very quickly. You know what the Ministry of Water does. An environment, to provide water to safeguard the environment. The end to it is to contribute to this overall theme of monetization of Uganda's economy. Now, if you look at what we set out to do in the manifesto period, one is to protect and manage the quantity and quality of water, to increase household access to basic, safe, and affordable water supply. The targets are here. For rural water supply of this month, we targeted to move from 69% to 81%. In the presentation, you will see where we are. And then for urban, the target was to move from 78 to 88 by 2026. Most importantly, to provide at least one source of water per village. Okay? And then, oh dear, what's happening here? I lost it. Someone is playing with it from that side. Huh? Okay. To enhance contribution, this is through increased national forest cover. The target to move from 12.4 to 15%, to also increase the national wetland ecosystem cover. I'm not going to dwell on this so much. Now, if you come to what the ministry does and why you have all these people here, is simply because of this statement. The ministry does rural water supply and sanitation. So we have a rural water department. Small towns water supply and sanitation, that's why we have the urban people. Large water supply, if you hear about bulk transfers in the presentation, it lies there. Water resources management for protection of our water resources. and then the natural resource management. We talked about wetlands, and we talked about the forests. And then water for production, which is a big deal, and it's delivered largely through irrigation. So we go to the first region, which is now the Western, and it is also categorized into sub-regions. The first sub-region is Ankole. For Ankole, if you look at rural water, Ankole, put this in mind that the national coverage is at this rate as you look at this. Ankole has these districts, and these are the number of villages with safe, and then the percentage of access, and then the overall rural water coverage in those areas. For example, if you look at Buheju, it has 348 number of villages, and 261 have access to water in line with the target, and therefore the percentage of villages that access is 75%, which is slightly a good one. Now you can look at the same for all these districts in Ankole. Kazo, Chiruhura, Mbarara, Mitoma, Ntungamo, most of them well above 50%. Okay, let's look at the ongoing interventions. There's construction of irrigation and water supply systems. The ministry is constructing 6 solar-powered piped water supply systems in the 6 villages which are listed here. In Busheni, there's Kashasha, which is benefiting. In Chiruhura, you have Brembi, Mbarara, Kahoma, Tungamo, Ishanje, like that, Pampara. Once these are completed, then it means that they will have that intervention sorting the water issues. There is this one, Bitsel water supply system. This is again Buheju. And again, like we did, the villages to be served by this intervention are listed here. I don't want to go into all of them. But since these are your areas, I think when you look at the detailed report, it will be easy to identify which areas are served and which ones are underserved. Okay. The financials. When you look at the financials, we are looking at these district water and sanitation grants here. And you do have the component for sanitation, and there's a breakdown here by year for the 4 years for each of the districts. For example, you can see that in 2021, for this region, 2021-22, the whole region there's something you're touching there which is disorganizing me. Remove this keyboard here. X, I've tried it, has refused. No, maybe enter. Nothing. Okay. So I was explaining this, that for each of the districts in that region, whatever they received in each of the years, I already learned. And then we have the totals here. Now, why we are showing this table is not because of the figures, but because of the table that comes after, which exactly shows what was achieved using these monies during that period. So what are the achievements in those local governments during those periods? They are broken down by the type of intervention and output that was provided. For example, for the money that was received by Buheju, spring protection was done to the level of 23 interventions. And then in the same district, you had 3 designs of piped water systems. You had 12 rainwater harvesting tanks provided, and then rehabilitated 13 of them. And this is done for each of the districts in that region. Bar City. No, it's not in this. You will see it. You will see it in the 6th presentation. Yeah. Okay? Now, this summarizes the allocations for the financial year and then goes on to show what is being done in the financial year and which villages are served using which technology and at what particular location under which project. I'll give an example here. If you use Bushenyi, you have 446 million. These are the projects. This is the technology. They're providing boreholes in terms of rehabilitation and piped water systems. And these are the villages that are going to be served. So we do this for each of the districts. Ibanda, Isenjero. Okay? Kazo. For each of them, the amount, the projects, the technologies, and then which particular sub-counties and villages that are served. Again, it's a very big presentation, and for each of the regions, we have the same one, so we may not go into the details of the villages here. But I hope that you can circulate all of them. Okay? Okay. Toma. I wish there was an easier way to do this. Okay. Luberizi, Rampara, Shema. Okay.
Give us region where we are losing a little. For sharing, we have pushed out of services.
Yes. Oh. Wait.
Allow you to present. When it is done, take a note. You will have time to ask those questions.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. At the end of the day, the underserved areas reflected where there were issues. And if you look at the interventions which are programmed, they are targeting those areas where the NRM didn't do very well. And you're going to see what effect they have. Now, small town water supply. Okay? What was done? 2 earth dams were constructed. That's the Mavira Earth Dam in Ranyamahembe sub-county with that storage capacity. And then Chenshema Earth Dam in Kashari. There's an annex which shows the details of each of them. There is Kadango Earth Dam in Kashumba. Again, that relates to the annex that is attached below. There are other interventions that are listed here in the different areas: Buhweju, Bushenyi, Ibanda, Isenjero, Chiruhura, Barara, Rampara, and Luberizi. But these ones are under water for production, largely irrigation targeting agro. The ongoing interventions, Kavyanda off-farm pipe network, construction of Chenshema Earth Dam, Kawiyanda multipurpose earth dam in Isinjiro. And then there are planned interventions also in those areas, including the Kagera bulk water supply and irrigation network infrastructure in Isinjiro and Rampara, the LVEMP and Nsonjezi bulk water supply, and then this one for commercial farmers in the greater Masaka district of Zimbabwe. There's need for equipment as well. Provision of equipment is key, and the ministry owns construction equipment up to the number of 18 deployed in the western region for construction of dams and valley tanks. That one serves this sub-region of Ankole as well. There is a concern on environment and natural resources. The central forest reserves in this area include these, which you know: Roho, Bugamba, Ruti, Kamukuzi, Chahi, Remutongore, etc. What is the performance? They provided these seedlings during that period, and they were distributed to the extent of 80%. This is an output indicator that NFA uses. NFA supported private initiatives and community members in planting trees in Ankole, and those initiatives were supported. We'll leave this. Restoration is important. Roho Central Forest Reserve, there were initiatives there, and there was restoration of up to 11% in relation to Roho Central Forest Reserve. And then this offset of 100.2 hectares served by Kawiyanda Dam. What was the commitment? This is the commitment, that forest plantation development, with regard to that, we shall invest in plantation development at that rate. And that is what was done. A total of 7,645 hectares were established in Roho, Bugamba, Chahi. Okay. What are the ongoing interventions? They are listed here, and I hinted on them, but there are challenges also related to them, and you know many of them: encroachment and illegal timber extraction, inadequate forest management, okay, unclear boundaries, illegal land titling of central forest reserves, and old fleet, which affects operations and construction of the water facilities. There are recommendations here to do boundary opening for the government agencies to liaise and ensure that illegal titles in central forest reserves are cancelled. This is happening. Renovation and construction of stations within the plantations, and strengthening forest law enforcement. There's a section on wetlands here. Ankole sub-region has a total wetland area of that, and of it, that amount is intact, 39%. But there's also an area which is encroached. Now, what is the intervention here? It is to restore. If we come here, we break it down by district. For example, we can use Mbarara, that the total wetland area is 10,000. The encroached is shown, and the rehabilitated is also shown there. Let me run through to status of water resources. Okay. So we do this for each of the sub-regions. I don't know how to handle this. It's really disturbing. Now, metrology Now Chigezi. So that was Ankole. Now Chigezi is also part of the Western. For Chigezi, if you look at this, using the same analogy, we have this safe water coverage for each of the districts. Kabale, 82, Kanungu, 86, Chisoro at 85, and Ruchiga at 83. Again, it shows that many of them are above the target and above the national level, which is shown up there. The ongoing projects are shown here: construction of solar-powered water systems in these areas. Chisoro, 2 of them, Rwanda, 1 of them, and this project will serve these sub-counties of Buchimbiri, Nyanamo, and Bukare Katojo through those 3 solar-powered pumping systems. The project details are here. Yes, it's very long, but we discussed the format with the Secretariat, and they wanted this level of detail. But I can highlight only what you want to hear. Now, for that area, this is the disbursement. And what are the achievements? Again, they are shown by district here. For example, Ruchiga, you have what was done. They designed, Ruchiga here was a design, and then there was construction, and then tanks were missing, but they rehabilitated water sources and constructed public toilets. Okay, I'll skip this and go to the next one. Water for production. In Kanungu, constructed 1 solar-powered irrigation system. In Rukunjiri, 3 solar-powered irrigation systems. In Ruchiga, 1 solar-powered, and in Chisoro, 1 solar-powered. There are ongoing interventions here, and there are planned bulk water transfers there. For equipment, this is what was deployed in the different areas. Okay, this is an annex, central reserves. But there are some challenges also here with regard to the forest management, inadequate forest management infrastructure, forest encroachment, and unclear boundaries, similar to what we had in the previous, and land titles. The recommendations are similar. Okay, this is the status of wetlands in that area. The intact ones are 58%, but we have the degraded at 41.6%. Okay. That. Okay. Status of water resources, this one you look at. But largely, a total of 1,999 individuals were trained, 3 nurseries established, a total of those seedlings distributed, and so many other issues. But most important, a total of these, of the degraded wetlands, were restored, and a total of 64 wetland perimeters were demarcated, plus many others down here. Okay. I don't know how to deal. Bunyoro, again, these are the districts, and you can look at the access rates. Kakumiro, Chivale, Kakube. We have a high one here at Kakumiro, of 92%, but also some low ones, Masindi, and the reasons will be given if need be. In going, the beneficiaries, the budget, and then the kind of infrastructure in each of the districts. Okay? Budget allocations which relate to ongoing projects. And then water for production in that area, Winyoro. Completed construction of 13 solar-powered irrigation systems. And then there are some which are ongoing and others being designed. Once completed, many of the water needs for production will be sorted. Valley tanks, bulk water transfer systems. With regard to this, feasibility studies are still ongoing to provide Masindi Port bulk water. Bulk water transfer involves moving water from a source to an area which is underserved. So, and then earth dams. And then now these are annexes that relate to what we've been talking about. The challenges are similar, so we don't need to go into them. The breakdown is shown here. Status of implementation of water resources. One major hydropower infrastructure has been regulated, that is Karuma. One water source protection plan for Karuma and 250 water abstraction permits for groundwater, surface water, and construction. Then catchment management plans for Kafu prepared to 98%, 100% of Waki micro catchment management plan, plus others. There are so many. There are challenges, including climate change effects and limited financial resources, as well as increased encroachment. Okay, metrology. I want to skip this because there is a part which I'll talk about which is specific to metrology for all of them. And then Renzori, I don't know if I should go through it as well. But largely, I wish that we could maybe distribute this, then people look at these different villages to identify where there is service, where there is planned service, and where there is under service to inform the plans. This follows the same format that for Gondevujo, Kasese, and Toroko. This is what they received during that time. And this is what was achieved. And then the challenges, and then recommendations. Okay. And then water for production. We do this for each of the regions. So now this is Western. Kindly open Eastern. Yes, yes.
You have to go through all the regions.
I'm trying to. No, it's okay. There were few. Okay, so that is for Western. There are 3 more: Eastern, Central, and Northern. But I'm trying to see them open it.
That's why the area was asking, why don't you start with those which have more space?
Yes, that's what we're doing. Open, please. It's opening from there. Okay, for now using the method, then I can go to Central. Because because you know the issues with the Central. Kawempe. Kawempe. Give me some tissue. Tissue. You know, the reports are bulky, and I'm trying to find the best way to summarize them. It is not so easy. Eastern is next after this. I think Western will be the last, for obvious reasons that he has pointed out. Now, for Central. For Central, we have a sub-region called Wakiso. And if you use the percentage of villages with because Wakiso, you know Wakiso is the most populated, okay? So if you look at this column, Wakiso is affected by the high population. But if you come back to the percentage of villages with water source, then the performance is mild. For example, high in Boikwe, high in Piji and Wakiso, but relatively bad in Butambala. Okay? The ongoing interventions to sort some of those issues. There's a project called Nexus Green, and it's constructing 8 solar-powered piped water supply systems to serve 8 villages of Boikwe, Gomba, where there was bad performance, and Wakiso from UK Export Finance. Which are the villages to be served in specific? They are here, and they are mapped onto the sub-counties and their respective districts. The financials, I'll not go into them, but remember that for the 1, 2, 3, 4 years, there were good totals registered here, but they were supposed to result into outputs which are shown here. For Boikwe, the boreholes, and then the designs, the piped water systems, etc. And that is done for each of them. Okay. There are some which are ongoing there. This is a project that's being implemented. It is development of solar-powered irrigation. Yes, I asked for this. Okay. And water supply systems. This to serve Nakaseke and Luwero. And the villages are here. The financials. Yeah. You wanted to see it. Okay. I wanted to see Nakaseke. Yeah. Now, the achieved outputs per technology using the same method we've been using. They are here for Luwero, for Nakaseke, for Nakasongola, and you can see that there were many when it comes to rehabilitated water sources in this section. The budget allocation, the ongoing projects, there's a project here for construction of solar water supply systems. The funding is from Exim Bank of India. The output relates to 4 solar-powered water supply systems in those sub-counties of Buvuma district, and they're written here, as well as the villages. Construction of solar-powered irrigation and water supply. This is under Nexus Green to supply 10 villages, Buvuma, Kayunga, and Mukono. The funding from UKEF. The villages to be supplied include these ones across these sub-counties mapped to those different districts. We will not dwell on the financials as guided, okay? But the outputs from that grant for those years is outlined here. In Buvuma, 1 deep borehole. In Mukono, where there was an issue, someone was questioning Mukono, there were 35 deep boreholes drilled. Just before we started the presentation, someone asked about the loss in Mukono. So you can see there were some interventions, including water sources that were rehabilitated in that area. Okay. Rakai, Sembawole, Yantonde, Kalangala, Chotera. Okay? And then there is a summary here for these ones. Go. The approved budgets and the outputs. These are the ones you wanted to see. For Komansimbi, Kalangala, Kalungu, Chotera, Lwengo, Jantonde, Masaka, Rakai, and Sembabule. The budget allocations. And what was done and what is planned. This is what is planned in the financial year. The ongoing. Sorry, it can't. Okay. Like now, Rakai here with 793 million in financial year 24-25 through these projects is to provide these, and they are to be affecting the water supply in those sub-counties and those villages. That is how you interpret this table. There are planned interventions for medium-scale irrigation for the next 5 years. The development of Nkuke, this is Masaka, Lugogo, Luwero Nakaseke, and Seziwa irrigation scheme for Luwero Mukono. Then bulk water transfer systems also planned to service the areas which are underserved, including this Nakalok Songola, bulk water transfer, commercial coffee farm project farming. This is targeted by that bulk water, and then there is the one for Kaweweta Special Economic Zone in Nakaseke, and Seziwa bulk for Mukono and Kayunga. The strategic multi-purpose dams which are already planned in the next 5 years. Solar-powered irrigation schemes which were done. Okay, these were commissioned and constructed to completion. Okay, that is central. Okay. So we go to using the ranking, then let's go to Eastern. Okay. For Eastern, a lot was done. This is Busoga. If you look at Busoga, there was progress in many of the districts. All of them above 70%. Iganga at 80%, Ginger 86, Ginger 86, Kamuli 86, Mayuge 65, and Kadiro, in that order. Despite of that, there are also ongoing interventions for construction of solar-powered water supply and sanitation systems. Constructing 4 solar-powered piped water systems. This is in Chidera, Igwaya, Chitenga, and Bukuzu. That's under the financing from the World Bank. Then under UKEF, another 18 solar-powered piped water supply systems to serve 18 villages using UKEF funding. The grants are summarized here for the different districts, but more importantly, the outputs which came out of the money that was dispersed. It has failed, but you can see spring protection, boreholes, designs. These are new water sources. And then you have rehabilitations also at the level of 381 in the sub-region. Let's look at the next sub-region within that eastern, Teso. Okay, this is Bugisu. There were a bit of challenges in some areas in the election, and because of that, there were some efforts. For Bududa, it rose up to 99%. Yes, yes. For areas like Mbale, 79, but there is a bit of challenge. There were also issues in Sironko, but you can see, at least now there's a step up to 89% of provision of safe water access. Yes, this is a hotspot, but if you look at the planned interventions, Namisindwa then gets covered. So what are some of the interventions to cover for the gaps? You have this construction of solar. I see Ambassador is looking very closely. Solar-powered water supply and sanitation systems. This is to provide 2 solar-powered water supply systems to cover those sub-counties which are underserved in Bulamboli with safe water. And the financing is a donor, Exim Bank. For irrigation, there is UKEF. These are substantially in their substantial phases of implementation, including supply to Mbale and Namisindwa, which we saw that was underserved. The financials, we shall not go into them, but over 17 billion disbursed for those issues. And because of that, there are these interventions, including protection and new boreholes, new water sources. The budget allocation for the financial year, this one speaks to what's going on now and the villages that are to be served. This is Unanganda in the Bulamboli, where there was an issue. Then there's others related to these other places as well. Okay, someone asked for Teso, so we go to Teso now. Kwen is in we call it capture. We're going to reach it. It is also in here. Yes, a bay. Thank you. It's a bay. So we have Bukedi. Bukedi has just got a development plan, and part of it includes the water interventions. But if you look at the number of villages and percentages, we are not doing so badly. You have places like Palisa with 96%. And many of those areas are sparsely populated. So access is also high. Ongoing projects to cover the missing percentages include this one, the Nexus green one, to serve through piped water supply to 16 villages. And those villages are listed here. And they run across the different number of districts in Bukedi. The financials are here. And these are the achieved, this is what was achieved during the period. Rehabilitation up to 425, and then new, substantially at a level of 217 sources. Okay. Let's look at the next one. It is not under Eastern. Okay. Okay. Teso, above the national for many of them, but there is Ngora, a hotspot. There is Serere, also at 99%. And then Tizia, it tallies with the national at about 68%. But there are also reasons for some of these figures. Water, the access to, for example, underground water. There's stress in some of these areas. And once you achieve these figures, then you're trying. Construction of solar-powered irrigation is ongoing there. It is also going to serve another 9 villages in those areas, and they are written here. I think for Serere, once they have this, then it will move to 100%. The financials, they achieved by district. You look at them in detail at some point. And then the allocations for the financial year to serve those missing ones. Like in Bukedi here, there's an 822 million in the annual budget for this financial year to service these projects that are listed here, and they will be providing these kind of outputs in these locations, and those villages will now join the served areas. Okay? There. Okay. It's a bit disturbing. Which one is this? Karamoja. Karamoja has a cabinet directive to develop a specific plan for serving Karamoja, and the initial implementation of that has moved it from the 30s to this area of the 60s. But the plan has not been implemented close to half of it. So we suspect that once that is implemented, then many of these are going to go up. Okay. Karenga, Kotido, Moroto, Makapiripirit. There are also ongoing projects there. It is not forgotten. And some of them are donor funded. They will be serving these villages once completed. The financials are here, over 21. And because of that allocation, then we do have these are new, these are designs, and these are maintained, rehabilitated. This is for the financial year. Again, once these are done, then these that are listed here, these villages which are listed in the last column, then join the areas which are served. Okay? We look at this one, the northern. For the northern, you have a Moro at 100. This is when you use the villages. All the villages have safe water sources. But when you come to the population, then there is a bit more work that has been programmed to be done to make sure that the ratio is improved. Now, these are ongoing, and you can see, if you see here, Lamo is at about 82, but when you come here, then many of the villages been programmed to access from there. Agaga. These are some of the villages where you're asking. But for the city, he's going to speak to it. You have the outputs, the same order. And then the budget. And then the planned beneficiaries. Is there a national water presentation? Okay. Ongoing. The Nexus Green is constructing 5. Like this? Okay. Yeah. I think we should, I don't know. Do you think we should, anyway, the Secretariat has all the presentation. Okay.
But for now, members who just want to
Okay, then West Nile sub-region, you have this. I think there are many photos that will be taken of this. But using our indicator, we are not doing so badly in all the districts. But since the variance is here, like 47% here, then there are interventions here to overcome that. Like in Moyo, for these sub-counties, to serve those villages through these 14 solar-powered piped water systems under the IWMDP, Integrated Water Management and Development Project. Ala Ora. You know that one. It's a hotspot. And then solar powered, this is under EXIM, to serve these villages which have been identified to be missing on the radar. The financials, close to 35, and the outputs are also substantial during that period. These are planned, and they should take us to the 90s and 100s for each of them. Okay, and then that project, I've talked about it. Planned water for production and completed ones are listed here. Ongoing interventions under different projects, and then water for production. For example, this Asada solar powered irrigation demonstration site, and then Andivo irrigation system in Lajung Parish. There are those which are still ongoing, e.g. the construction of a multipurpose reservoir in Adjumani. Then those under the UK export financing. This one is to provide 6 solar-powered irrigation systems. We have planned interventions, including Dona and Badea. Okay. And then these are annexes. Now, there is meteorological services, which we didn't talk about, and I promise that I will talk about here. Okay, what was the commitment? To revamp and equip the existing weather stations, as well as establish new ones. What was achieved? Out of the 147, the 104 were provided with these automated weather stations covering 71%. Now, according to the region, we have the districts listed here, and then the districts without, and it shows the coverage here. For example, for the central, you have those listed districts with automatic weather stations. These ones don't have, but they have interventions down there that are planned to provide. And this is the overall coverage summarized in this last column. Okay. Northern, for Western, and there's a summary here which says close to 71%. Other things have been done, including installation of those buoys, 9 of them, and an air pollution monitoring station for pollution monitoring, which has been acquired. Some of these have been rehabilitated. These are weather stations, the old ones, without necessarily upgrading them. They exist in those different areas: Bududa, Kotido, Kivanda, Tusi, Dungamo, and so on. And then calibration. We We're about to finish. So the coverage of rehabilitated ones is also shown here. For Central 7, for Eastern 5, for Northern 4, and for Western 3. Quite balanced, if I may say, in the approach. The other commitment to invest in developing the climate ICT infrastructure, including high-performance computing tools and networks. The coverage is shown here by region. To improve uptake, there's some training which has been done for local governments, documentation, weather clinics, introduction of the Outlook forums, etc. And then other things which we have done related to this, which are not necessarily covered in the manifesto, but can help to inform. There are some challenges and some recommendations also that are related to this. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Andrew, for that able presentation. Sip some water. I saw you sweating.
Someone provided me.
This from water and environment,
This one.
during the time of rationalization, I think it had national water and sewage corporation contract there, but by nature of our implementation of the manifesto, before they fused properly, so that engineer Alex Sagara to present, and then we will have the answer session together. Engineer Sagara. I think you prepare the presentation. The participants want to receive Minister of Water and Environment presentation. Oh, this one. I saw them touching. So which one goes up and down? Okay. Thank you very much. Chair, I'm going to start straight off so that we go in, but I want to recognize my former Minister of Water and Environment, my elder, who mentored me to be standing here. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Engineer Alex Sagara. I'm standing in for Engineer Dr. Silva Mugisha. I bring very warm greetings from National Water and Sewage Corporation, who would be here with you, but he's all over moving to check and call the balances in what we are trying to present, what we are going to present today. And we are largely considering the urban, large towns, cities. As you are aware, the manifesto covers all population, and the cities where I'm going to present, we have the traditional Kampala, Entebbe, Jinja, but we also have the new cities which were put on, and the presentation. IT, can you help me to? I want to go to presentation straight. The mandate of national water, we cover water supply and sewage services, and in Kiswahili, water domestic is called Majisafi. In the language of sewage, Kazambi, it's called Majitaka. If you go to Kenya, Tanzania, and other places. So we are talking about the presentation on the large cities. It's ready to come. I'm becoming impatient. But I will talk about the large cities and then also mix it with the small urban centers, because we usually work together with the Ministry of Water and Environment and also have rural urban integration. So at the villages and other settings they presented today, we also have a hand. Particularly, I should also thank the team of NADI for having pushed a lot National Water to complete the project, which is just at the bridge, Akavare. Last time I used to come here, when you would come, I would have to use a basin to take a shower. But today I think the system is fully charged. And we are going to go to other parts of this environment so that people benefit from being near you. Nadi, thank you very much. So, we have the presentation. The map is very clear and it shows the cities I'm talking about and covers all the population and also the urban centers. We are supposed to be serving 282 urban centers with about 980,000 water connections. Out of that, sewage is 30,000, serving over 19 million people, both water and sewage. We have an asset base of 4.6 trillion Uganda shillings, but we're also supported by our Mother Ministry of Water. It's not only the budget that comes from revenue, it is also coming from the contributions from the parent ministry and Ministry of Finance. The cities we are talking about are broken into zones, trading centers, and all that. Some of the urban centers actually, they are a form of rural. And that's why the manifesto concentrates, because when you come to efficiency in terms of service delivery, we have to make sure that there's equity in water distribution and service levels. We also have capital implementation, extension of water and sewage services, industrial parks as a part of our manifesto, and we are going to now share the progress per region, starting with the northern region, Acholi, Lango, and Western Nile. The Western Nile, we are talking about 37 towns, big, small, medium. Lango, we have 14. Acholi, we are 21. And the growth in the village coverage, because the village we are talking about also under acceleration plan, 100% coverage. Either it's a hybrid of urban, semi-urban, townships, and some rural centers where the government of Uganda sends money to National Water and also contributes to make sure that at least one serving point for each village. The statistics are very clear, as you propose to take some photos. And here we are talking about production capacity, the volumes of water. We had a target of 20 million, 25 by 25, we have 30. Performance target was 27 by 2026. We have achieved 111%. Currently, we are producing more than 30, but this is attributed to mega projects like Katosi, and also our parent ministry who actually invested in Busia, invested in Buyukwe, they are now investing in Buramuti, and we share that percentage achievement is the national water. There's a mega contribution from the Ministry of Water and Environment, who also do asset development and then hand over to national water operations. Even including this part of Bukwiri, we did a project under umbrella, recently gazetted, we shared the assets. So we are living together and we should keep on sharing the assets. But if we look at the population served per sub-region, actually our target was, we are talking about 531, and then we have 676 for Lango, and then West Nile, 1 million. And the target
you can see 419, 581 against 676. So the statistics are very clear. We have target achievements above 90%. And only one which is outlier of 77, and we are doing very well. And we have different statistics. In terms of infrastructure development, capital, I could start very well with the Karuma transmission main. 76 kilometers of pipeline was done, completed. The water treatment plant was done, completed. We are now pumping direct from River Nile to the Guru city and en route towns which are between Karuma and Guru. But one of the challenges we have, some little vandalism is taking place, and also accidents of overspeeding cars not occupied. But UPDF is taking charge with ISO. They have people on ground with RDC and communities, RDCs around the different districts, and that stretch of 73 kilometers to secure the assets of Uganda. Then we have Arua. We did a project. We have tanks. You can see them. And on this side of the water treatment plant, you can see the machines. They are very new. They are not imported in second hand like those cars which you usually buy. These are new assets targeting 30 to 50 years. Also, we have the sub-region foundation structures for the treatment plant which are constructing, upgrading, augmentation to increase supply. The progress is there. And also we have the network expansion, 1,186 kilometers, 103% coverage. We also had connections done, 32,000, that's 85%, and so many proposed taps. These are for settlements in the peri-urban areas of the city. And coverage, 1,128 villages, 66%. So the performance, we shall share the report. You will get more data as we present. His Excellency is actually doing the service of handing over safe, clean water, Majisafi, to the population, to the clergy, and others. We are going to the Ankole, Rwenzori, and Western region. We started that good pictorial to show that we are following and we are making sure that we don't lose votes. We are on the ground. Kigezi, we've been seeing the Kigezi, the whole of that area, 17, 19 number of towns. Ankole, we started 52, we are now 63. Rwenzori, there are only 4, now 32. Bunyoro, 4, 12. Performance is very good, and the statistics are presented in that chart. And growth in village coverage is also good. By 2025, we are now 6,600. To 2020, it was 2,300. And the villages are serving all the population in the sub-regions of Bunyoro, Rwenzori, Ankole, and Kigezi. Again, the statistics which show the baseline, by 2025 January, the target achieved and growth. So the growth we are talking about 41% overall, but the respective targets, the minimum was 62%. And 78, when the rest performed well. 67 is fair. And then the population served, sub-regions, Bunyoro, 712,000 against 700, and Ankole, 1.8 million against 2.5 million. Kigezi, 875,000 against 1.1 million. And that's the infrastructure, upgrading of Kisoro, Nkaka, water supply project, that's the new Abunagana, Congo border. This is a turning around because we used to get water from Chuho, the traditional area near Mtorere. But this one is a spring which crosses to Congo DRC, so we tapped water and we are serving all the areas up to whatever in the Virunga region. Apart from Uchibili, which are those ones are in the Gorofa, they are still in the skyscrapers, but we shall look maybe source with Ministry of Water another way of serving them, either from Karengere, that side of Lake Bunyani or Lake Mutanda. So that one I don't want to commit. It's a bit difficult, it's high. But you can see the Antonde, which was water stressed, is also served. You have a new treatment plant, but Lake Kachela sometimes misbehaves, it disappears underground. Even now, recently, the levels are so bad, but we are managing with the environment and water resources team. And also, we have the photo upgrading. We do so many projects to make sure that we sustain the areas where we have. Then Kanungu, we had the project, funding became a problem. We are now tendering. In Kakumiro, in the water-stressed area, people are asking if we are doing badly. It's one of them. And we are trying to get some money to put in place so that we improve. So expanded water pipe network, 3,900 kilometers. We achieved 99%. We installed 79,000 connections, 89%. And Propua, that's the formal settlements in the slums of the urban sectors, 7,800 connections, 83%, covering 4,170 villages. And you can see the technical teams doing some repairs. Again, we cross the central region, Kampala, Uganda sub-region. This is very hot, including that Kawepe North. It falls under my constituency also for water supply. And we have a big project which we are going to launch very soon for upgrading water supply in northern, northwestern, and northeastern parts of Kampala, which are water stressed, up Matuga, Migade, up to Bongo, then we come to Nasa, Wakiso, up to Kachiri, and some parts of Chengera coming back, Pigi, Maya, that section. We have projects targeting that geographical area so to make sure that we close the gaps of service levels, 24-hour supply. And in Uganda, we are talking about 49, towns now are 64, and we have Kampala, of course, with ECO, there are 6 divisions, and then growth of village coverage in the urban and townships represented, and village served and total villages. So the figures are very clear, and we shall keep on investing. The table summarizes what actually was the baseline in 2020, now current 2025, target to 2026, and target achieved. So production, we have achieved 95%. That's the volume of water produced per day. And then we have the network, the kilometers, and all the statistics talk. Average growth is 25% over the period. And the respective Kampala, Uganda regions, we are doing mega projects. We are actually going to get more funding to expand the Katosi and get more 80 million liters of water per day supplied into Kampala region and greater Kampala, including between Etere, Kajansi, Ruboa, which is water stressed, and Jomai, former Jomai estates. We also have other projects. Look at the Kinawataka Treatment Plant, that's for sewage. That's near Butabika, so it's completed. We also have the Katosi Treatment Plant. Currently, we are producing about 95 million liters per day, and our target is 160 million, we are about 60%. But we are doing infrastructure to accommodate the bulk transfer of water to the greater Kampala boundaries. And all that is very clear. Makivo Treatment Plant was completed. Kirudu Hospital, which was a big nuisance, we also have a compact treatment plant. And recently, we also commissioned Narukorongo Fecal Treatment Plant, additional to Rubiji. So the septic tanks, pit latrines also have a home now, where we can discharge. Currently, we're also moving into toilets as a social corporate responsibility, supporting the KCCA and the respective divisions, the Uganda Police Force, the Uganda Prisons, and Makerere University, where we have constructed multi-purpose toilets like this one, and you can do business, and below you can do the code for nature. And hygiene, top class. So we construct, we hand over to KCC for management, but we don't abandon, we follow up to make sure there's sustainability. We have done so many in the city, and if you move around, it's no longer one door business, one stance. You can see how modern the structure is, a storage building. And the treatment plant, we did also Karungu. We have done the same in Bushenyi, Parugo. We are doing others so that we make sure that we close the gaps between large cities, urban, and small towns. The Yes, we have the Zimbabwe water supply, that's the water stressed area from River Katonga. And recently we're also going to Kazo. Kazo, the boreholes have failed. The ministry have also tried. We have been operating your boreholes, but it doesn't work. The levels are bad, the ground levels. So we are going to get a facility from River Katonga and pump some water, at least 1,500 cubic meters per day for that population to close the gap. And another challenge, of course, we are looking at is the KYANKWANZI catchment area. I've already talked about it. We have a facility here which we constructed. If we have time, we can even go down and visit near here. And also we have reservoirs on the top of this hill. We are no longer carrying water with jerrycans in your dormitories, in your good hostels. It's a very big achievement.
You have 5 minutes, sir. Engineer Sagara, you have 5 minutes.
And Busoga, Bukedia, Bujisu, this is Teso, Kabumoja, this is the last one. I want to speed up on this, 3 minutes will be done. The same statistics, Sebei, Teso, Bukedi, Busoga. I don't want to repeat the statistics, you can see them, and we shall saturate and give you more information during the session for Q&A. And the statistics are very clear. The growth is 20% in that region, respective areas, and you have the Usoga having the highest, 1,500 against 1,800. So, Karamoja, we are still having water stress in terms of the source, but the distribution also, housing density, business, is still a problem. The industrial parks in Moroto, we have served, and we are going on to make sure that the clinker cement industry which is taking place is also served. We have 3 boreholes which we drilled and pumping. Then we have Ginger and water supply improvement. Ginger has not been having a project for so many years. We are sourcing funds. Soroti, we are also sourcing funds to make sure that we improve better Oga catchment area, Gweni and others. And we also do sewage service acceleration, water and sewage services acceleration plan in that geographical area which I'm talking about, even climate change. So I will be emphasizing on where we are doing badly. Moroto is still doing badly, Kabong, and so those areas of Kotido. We need to put a lot of effort to make sure that our people are served and rebalanced. Water supply services in these areas of Gwegere, Kampala Industrial Parks, Kasese, Kapeka, Mbarara, Jinja, Soroti, Jantindo Industrial Park, and Tororo. We have all done investments to make sure that they have supply, enhanced production, and also to make sure that the price production is making them competitive, especially the Kapeka. Here we have a big one, even the tariff has been adjusted to know the lowest tariff in Uganda, to make sure that people can have actually production costs low and then market price is competitive in East African region. Challenges, the flooding. You can see Dr. Silva Mugisha, this was in Awoja, trying to reach the water intake using a canoe. That is what happens when it comes to climate change. Financing gaps, of course it is not at a national level. When you talk about project counterpart funding, delays and whatever, but we have been providing at least to complete the projects. And then areas for government of Uganda, we are now reached 100 billion. We are still soldiering on to make sure that we live within our means. Kufunga mukanda, you tighten the belt and you move forward with what you can achieve. Don't have resources to cover 100%. Climate change, it's actually my big brothers who present more on climate change. I don't want to trespass on that one. But we also have some what we do. And we are still mobilizing resources, strengthening partnership with security firms, agencies, to make sure the assets are properly secured and protected, and also making sure that we continue to engage our sisters and brothers in other MDAs. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Engineer Shagar and Mr. Andrew Masaba. On behalf of the Ministry and National Water and Sewage Corporation. Dear leaders, you have listened very attentively. Our Secretariat is preparing the presentations so that they can be circulated. But in the meantime, we are going to receive questions. Wait a minute. Let us have a procedure. We are not going to take each and every question. I told you at the beginning that we are going to make a note of what we want to ask, because we are all very many and we have different questions. Okay. I think it is good that we write our questions. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay? We write down our questions. I can see from my seniors out here, the sugar levels are getting down. So let us write down our questions, and I hope you agree with me. Instead of continuing the question and answer session, we break for tea. You call it a healthy break. And then we come back, we'll go straight into the question and answer session. How about that? Asante sana. Thank you.
Come here,